They rely heavily on the pictures and the first letter. Here's an example. They know this is a tree, the T, then the picture of a tree, they connect it together. Hi everyone and welcome. Today we'll be talking about the second stage of reading, which is partial alphabetic stage. In the previous video, we talked about the first stage, the initial stage, which lays the foundation for reading. If I had to check that video out, please check out the video pre-alphabetic stage. Now, partial alphabetic stage, which is early letter name. This is the second stage of reading where children begin to understand some letter sound association, especially the initial and the final consonants. Not all the letter sounds, but at least when they see a word, they easily recognize the initial and the last one. They can guess about the middle vowel or middle consonant. They use their ideas or context or picture they see to guess the word. Not all the letters they can decode at this stage, but at least they can decode most of the beginning and the last letters. So during this stage of partial alphabetic stage, what do children do? Part of the things they do, the first one is using the first letter only to guess words. They heavily rely on the initial consonants, then they guess the rest. And here are a few examples. When they see dog, they can call it daddy because both start with the letter D. So when they see sun, they can call it sand because both begins with the same letters. And when they see bed, they can call it ball or boy. The second example is using first and the last sounds, but guess the middle sounds. They know the first one, they are sure of the sound the first one is making, they are sure of the sound the last one is making, but they cannot decode the middle vowel. And here is an example. When they say a cup, they can call it cap, up, cap. They don't understand the middle, but they know the beginning and the ending consonants. That's hat, they can call it hit. When they say milk, they can call it mark or make. When they say fish, they can call it fash or fosh. But because they are sure of the initial and the final consonant. Another example is using initial letter plus picture clue. They rely heavily on the pictures and the first letter. Here's an example. They know this is a tree, the T, then the picture of a tree, they connect it together. When they see the cat and they see the beginning of the word, they connect together and this word should be a cat. Then when they see a baby, sometimes they can get confused. When they see a boy, they can call it a baby because both begins with B. Now, using a known letter to fill in words incorrectly. Sometimes they know a letter, then they just fill in words. And here is an example. They can see reading car for cup, reading dog for dig. They can read run for rain. They can read big for bag. The C, the D, the R, the B that begins these words, then they just guess the rest. The fifth example is recognizing names by first letter only. Like name, it could be their names or names of people around them. They can call every name that start with A, Amira or Amina. They can call every name that start with J, James. They can call every M word mom or mommy. So they can think like Ben or Bola, or Ben and Bola are the same because they both begin with the B. And now the number 6, attempting to spell using letter names, and these are early spelling clue. When they try to spell using little segmentation skills that they have, they can omit the vowel, the middle vowel, because they don't really understand it, they don't see it. When they want to write car, they could just write the first and the last sound because that's all they could recognize at that stage, because it is still a partial alphabetic stage, remember. So they can write K-R for, or spell K-R, K-R for car. They can write M and T, t for mat, the P and N for pen, N for fan. So they hear some of the sounds, but not all. They couldn't really hear the middle sound. They just leave it out and spell what they could hear. How this stage actually looked like during reading: the boy had a cup of milk. They can read it as the baby has a cup of milk or milk. They could recognize the beginning and the final sounds correctly, but they just missed the middle sounds. So this is normal for partial alphabetic stage. And here is another example. A student was able to read get on the bus, get on the bus, but had difficulty with get on the bus, Gus. It means that the student was not yet able to detect or use the us pattern. Again, this is normal and they need more decoding exercises to be able to move to full alphabetic stage. So summary of the key characteristics: students at this age can use initial letters consistently. They can sometimes use the final letters. They rarely decode middle sounds. They rely on pictures, memory, and guessing. They recognize some high frequency words like the I. Finally, they need explicit phonics instruction to be able to move to the full alphabetic stage. If you are yet to register for the systematic phonics instruction coming up on the 22nd of November, kindly register. You'll see the link in the bio. See you in the next video. Bye.